All right, I think we're on. For my diversity and professional practice interview, I interviewed Mr. Patrick Cardenas from the University of Houston at Clear Lake, and he is the coordinator of student life and student activities, so he has quite a job. The first question I asked him was, do you think living learning communities help produce um, better understanding of multiculturalism among students? And he said, well, U of H Clear Lake may not be the best example for that because it's currently a community college right now. They do have an apartment complex on site, though. And so, in short, though, he did answer the question by saying yes. He said, even if a multicultural topic or unit isn't taught at the curriculum level, he thought just the peer-to-peer interaction would help increase people's understanding of it. Um, Question two, what do you think the most effective, not necessarily cost effective method to recruit applicants of diversity is? He said, well, he doesn't necessarily do just that part um, of the job. He said that's more of a function of enrollment management. But he said what those folks do, what he thinks they do, is for them to be successful, and they have been, but for them to be successful, they have to recruit applicants from a diverse pool. And what really helps them is Clear Lake. Well, their next door neighbor is Houston. Happens to be the fourth largest city in the United States. As far as diverse applicants, that's a pretty good area. So they try to go to high schools that have those types of populations. And one other interesting note is University of Houston at Clear Lake is a Hispanic serving institution. 38% of their applications were from applicants identifying themselves as Hispanic. Question three was, how does your institution go about recruiting students of diverse cultural backgrounds? He says, well, this one relates a lot to question two, and it did. But what he did note, which I thought was very interesting, is he says to increase their international population, to recruit students internationally, they've partnered with some institutions in India and Vietnam. So I thought that was a very interesting idea, a very good one. Um, what types of services does your campus provide to attract and retain students of diverse backgrounds? And he really spoke at length on this one. I found this one obviously very interesting. Their entire population, at least from fiscal year 12, was I think 8,153 students. Okay, so slightly less than 10,000 students, and they have 84 student organizations on campus. These organizations provide opportunities for students to participate in and out of classroom cultural experiences. Makes sense. Some examples of some student organizations which they have. There's a bilingual education student organization, black student organization, Hispanic student organization, Indian student organization, Muslim student organization, Taiwanese student organization, Vietnamese student organization, etc. Um, I think what I found also extremely interesting was all of these organizations, they are open, they have open enrollment. So you don't have to be Vietnamese to join the Vietnamese student organization. So if I wanted to actually participate, I actually could, and I think that's really neat. Um, Question five, in your opinion, what is the proper way to ask someone about their ethnicity or background? And he said, just a normal conversation. Don't try to force it. It usually doesn't work. One of the tips that he gave, though, was just to give information about yourself. So he said, if you really want someone else, if you think someone else really needs to open up, the best way to make that happen is for you to open up first. So I think that sounds like very good advice. Um, Question six was, what are some challenges you've had in serving the multicultural student body? How did you overcome these challenges? And he said, well, just letting the student body know there are opportunities available in the student organizations and their activities. That's the hardest thing. So basically, it's how to advertise it. That's obviously a huge challenge. Um, they have announcements at their SGA meetings. Um, they sometimes send email blasts to all the students, although they don't want to do that too much because if you get blasted, you're going to think every blast is simply junk mail. So they have to be careful of that. They also these organizations use social media themselves, so they have a Facebook page so that they're able to tell followers, etc. Of certain activities of their meetings, etc. Some of them use Twitter, some use Instagram, etc. And I guess, an old school method is some of them have banners and flyers scattered throughout campus. Looking back through your career, have you encountered any difficult situations regarding multiculturalism that you feel could have been handled better? And I won't go in. I won't say exactly what he told me. I think it may be a little bit too personal. Um, but he did mention that he did. Yes, there was a conflict, but it was a conflict within the same culture. So he's a third generation Hispanic person, and so his conflict was with another person of Hispanic heritage. What would help in that situation? He said he thinks this other person needs more diversity training. Um, so I guess I'll just leave it at that. Um, Question 8 was, do you feel that the ethnic or racial makeup of the administration and faculty of your institution represents the student population, and how do you think that affects student retention? He said he thinks that the student body to faculty representation is getting better. Um, it's not 100% yet. It's not directly even. See, I had some detailed notes. Um, yeah, so for the student body in fiscal year 2012, it was comprised of 45% whites, and the faculty ratio of white instructors was 62%. So, at 62 to 45, that was in fiscal year 12. The latest results aren't out yet. So, but he says it seems like it's improving more and more to him. So, I think there's definitely signs of improvement there. Um, Question 9, does your institution offer any training for faculty and staff on how to facilitate discussions about sensitive topics such as racial issues? He said, well, there's one in-person class right now, and so it's a standard diversity workshop. But he said probably the best news on that front is they hired an additional person, and they have been tasked with improving their training in this area. So there should be future offerings. He also said that there is the standard online self-taught class on diversity. So they do have that one. For me at A&M, that's pretty standard as well. That's what we have. Is there a diversity goal as part of the strategic plan for your college or university? And the answer to that is yes. It is in their mission statement that they support folks um, so that there's let's see if I can say this again. In their mission statement, it says that they do support gender and ethnic diversity at the University of Houston at Clear Lake. Okay. All right. I think that's all I have. Thank you, and bye.